What's up everybody, it's BC. Welcome to another video, and quick announcement before I begin. I have one spot available for coaching, one-on-one coaching. If you're a realtor or a salesperson who wants one-on-one coaching, go ahead and go to my website, it's in the description. Now, the title of this video about objections, and I want to go a little deeper because when it comes to objections, a lot of times people don't understand why they can't get around them or why they're saying the right words and it's not having the effect. And this video is going to serve as a guide and kind of give you a deeper meaning to it, right? Now, somebody like me who's on the other side who can handle objections no problem, one of the things that I've gone through and one of the understandings that I have is this datum, right? You have the objections, which is the objection that you get from somebody, which number one should excite you because it's an unanswered question the prospect has before they do business with you. It's a part of the process. I always say the sale never begins until the person says no for the first time. I'm sure you've heard that in other places too. It's very true. And you normally will get some kind of objection at some point throughout the sales process, right? It's very rare that it's smooth all the way through. So when you have these verses, these objection handlers memorized, right? And this could be for anybody in sales or anybody who is conversing with people who may have like a format to what they say. It's one thing to just know the words. It's another thing to have an understanding behind it, right? And what do I mean by that? The words are the words, right? We know that words are only 7% of our communication. But when you have an understanding of not only the objection handler, but why you're getting the objection, number one, and number two, the fallacy or the false datum that objection is based on, that's really what gives you power and a sort of conviction now when you handle it, okay? What do I mean by that? Well, the objection handler I know is effective, right? I study it, I know it from a language standpoint. The facts that it gives are factual, and it's a datum that is a stable datum, right? It's there. Now, the other side of it, right? The fallacy in an objection can come from many reasons, right? We know in real estate, if you get a lot of objections from sellers, like, just bring us a buyer, we only want to work with agents who brings us buyers, so forth and so forth, we know that that's based on misinformation. Well, if you don't, now you do, right? That a lot of the objections they get are their understanding of how the process works, because we forget that the consumer literally has no idea about the process, but we just assume because we know that they know, right? It's not common information. It's not common sense for people to know about real estate or any sales industry, whatever you're selling. Even if the prospect has some kind of understanding, if you're an expert, they have nowhere near the understanding and expertise that you have, right? And a lot of times we operate under the datum that, oh, the customer is always right, which I think is bullshit a lot of times. We think that they know, okay? So behind that, you have to also know that misinformation leads them to believe, and that's their perspective. Now, they're not wrong for that, right? They're not wrong for that. So when you communicate, you have to approach it accordingly by not arguing with them or causing some kind of friction, which would be a violation in communication, right? You want to understand their perspective and then move forward and educate them and do what you have to do, right? But knowing that they're based on misinformation, right? A lot of times these objections, you have a different aura and air to you when you're handling them now. Not only do you expect them, but it makes sense to you now for them to give you the objection. You're like, oh, of course you would think that way, right? Because you've been fed misinformation, or you're not clear, 100% clear yet on my product and my service and what I'm doing, right? So now moving forward, not only is there a different conviction to how you speak, but your emotions and everything else is in check, because now you're coming from a position of understanding and being grounded versus being reactive and like, oh my God, like the average salesperson, right? So it's not just the words that you say, guys. Of course you want to know your scripts, know your dialogues, and that's important, but a level beneath that is having the understanding and knowing why you're handling the objection, where it's coming from, the person who's giving it to you, what information do they have. That is a deeper level understanding that now allows you to be very tactical in the way that you handle it and have a much stronger and better and more efficient approach to handling the objection versus just being given a line and just saying blah, 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 right? I'm sure you're beginning to see the difference now. Or if you never thought about it that way, now you have a new kind of thought about it, or you've been enlightened and you're like, oh, okay, wow, that really makes sense. I never thought about it that way, right? And that's what a lot of my videos do. So remember, until you really get to this, I mean, of course there's deeper levels and I'll eventually go over them, but this is really going to give you the power to handle an objection, because now it's not just about the words that you say, it's where it's coming from. You now are that much more confident, certain, and you have this knowingness and beingness to you that now people will respond to, because it's not the words they'll respond to, it's everything else, your emotions, your conviction, the way you feel, your mindset, your frame, all that. That's much more important than just the words that you spit out. Okay, so take a look at that, guys, and if you have to, become more of an expert on your product or service. That way, when the objections come in, you're that much more confident, because that has a lot to do with it too. If you yourself don't believe in your product and your service, or you have some kind of belief in their objection, how the hell are you going to handle it? You know, if you're in real estate and they throw you an objection like, oh, I don't need a listing agent, and you feel like a FSBO can do it on their own as effective as us, even if you believe it only a little bit, you're going to hold yourself back. And that's what manifests all these, you know, these tales and stories that you hear, like, oh, I knew what I had to say, or I wanted to say it, but I just didn't say it. That's that limiting belief holding you back, right? So you need to shatter that, and doing this process is one of the ways to do it, okay? That's it for this one, guys. Like the video if you haven't already. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and in the description below you have a link to all my books, products, services, whatever you want to see. Okay, we'll see you on the next one.